Welcome to the Lawyer Dana podcast. Today our guest is Thomas Wendt, who is an attorney from the Palmer Law Group. And so we have all PLG people here at a Worthy Vision company production. Thomas, tell us, when did you start working for the Palmer Law Group?
Started on Monday.
How do you like it so far?
So far so good. What
do you think about that MindMeister program?
I love it, honestly. I think it would have been so useful at my last firm. Coming in with, 100 clients, and you're just kind of thrown into the middle of a lot of these cases. And so you're spending a lot of time, or at least I spent a lot of time at the last firm just playing catch up for the most part.
Yep.
But I feel like with MindMeister, I don't have to spend as much time, which is super nice.
Almost instantaneously up to date immediately.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so what's going on here? What's actually been filed? Oh, it's all right here.
Very nicely organized. And that's one of the reasons why we do that, because we work all the cases as a team, and any team member can kind of pick up and see what's there, and that's the idea behind it. And have you ever seen a law firm that gives as much transparency?
No. No. In fact, it's usually the opposite.
Exactly.
Sometimes not on purpose, but it's just, I guess just a lot of attorneys don't know how to give as much transparency without just calling the client being like, okay, this is exactly what we did today on your case. Whereas with this, you just got to give them the login and just have them log into their thing.
And they can see it for themselves. They can track along. Our clients love it. Most of them.
Yeah.
There are some people that are just not technical. Right. And if they don't know how to use it, then we have the standard things that law firm clients typically have questions and problems with lawyers. Like, what's going on in my case? I don't see that there's anything being done. And they're just freaked out during the whole time. And with our brand of soft divorce, especially, where it says divorce doesn't have to be so hard. Well, one of the things that makes it hard is not really knowing or seeing what's going on. And there's also a difference of being told versus being able to look directly at it and see that it's being done and follow along as they're doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my favorite tool we have. Honestly, I love it. I'm like kind of obsessed with it. Stuff constantly with it. If someone didn't do something in there, I'm fixing it. I want it to look pretty.
That's the other thing. It's also aesthetically.
It's so aesthetically pleasing. I'm not going to lie. I love a good org chart. And whenever you see that, you can see all the different categories and everything in there. And you can just add attachments to it. You can add the email chains. You can add the voicemails. You can add the documents. It's super easy. Just drag and drop. I love it.
It's awesome.
I've only been using it for a week, but I failed to see any flaws in it so far.
Perfect. There may be flaws.
I'm sure. Yeah.
There's flaws in any system.
Looking at it with rose-colored
glasses. But compared to what else is possibly even out there?
Compared to what I had to deal with at my last job, it's just a whole new world.
Night and day.
And they can listen to their phone calls. They can see the emails.
Yeah.
It's all there for you.
So make sure that you're not saying silly stuff necessarily. Although, so am I on the air going to tell people how to sabotage and destroy me? If you were to take a compilation of Dana's greatest hits from all of the phone recordings with clients, there would be decades of hilarious material, I think. Because I'm sure there have been times where I have yelled at and scolded clients. There have been times, and sometimes you have to, reflect back at clients what they need to hear and communicate with them. I like to follow the Bruce Lee philosophy, which is be like water. Water takes the shape of the container that it's in. Whatever it is that you need to be, fill the space, fill the container. And certain people, you have to relate to them in certain different ways. And that's the benefit of, did you ever wait tables?
No.
Okay. So do you ever bartend?
No.
Any service industry jobs?
Sure. Yeah. Worked at Chick-fil-A.
Perfect. Okay. So, because I was like, how did he get through? Because I thought there was something. So yeah, Chick-fil-A is ideal. McDonald's, actually. I like McDonald's as well. Other fast food, not so much. If you told me that you worked at Taco Bell, I wouldn't be particularly impressed. But Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, their level of service. And Chick-fil-A has mastered the drive-thru.
Oh, my gosh. It's like clockwork. The way they have it organized, it's so nice.
You understand customer service and the customer experience.
Yeah.
And that's critical.
Yeah, I did IT for 3 years where it was literally just answering phone calls. And I don't know if you've ever worked in IT or you've had to deal with IT.
I've gotten almost every job I've ever applied for in my life except
IT?
tech support at Micro Center. Because they go, describe how you would do this. And I was just completely lost.
Well, with IT, you'd never really have happy people call in. And I worked at IT for a hospital. And so it was doctors that were calling in, most of them with God complexes, and so they're just like, you're just like, why is this program not working? Make it work. And so you have to talk them down the ledge so many times, and we had our favorite customers call in, and we're just like, oh no, it's Dr. Habib, you deal with him.
I'm not talking to Dr. Johnson anymore today.
Yep.
In a restaurant, when things would go down, I can understand because you're stressed out.
Sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you need it to work.
You occasionally get yelled at
Yeah.
at the firm.
What?
You occasionally get yelled at here at the firm now. Is it as bad as the restaurant?
I'll be honest, yes.
Well, you're dealing with people that are freaking out about bigger deal issues.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm having a bad dinner versus my kids are getting taken away. I'm losing all my money. I have no hope in life. I'm freaking out. I'm considering suicide. I'm losing my mind. My spouse has said something that makes me not trust you, and now I think that you're the enemy. I don't know who to trust. I am freaking out, losing my mind, and
It's also the people that don't know how to use MyMeister.
I like how we brought that back around.
Full circle.
She was saying that MindMeister is important.
Yes, I was saying
Here, go
MyMeister is very important in that with clients that don't use it, it makes it really hard. So if you are a client of the Palmer Law Group and you don't know how to use MyMeister, please call us so we can help you, because it is a helpful tool for our clients. And as a firm, we rely on our clients using it to keep updated.
So one thing you may notice is clients have alerts. They should hopefully have alerts turned on. But what our clients actually need to know is we don't have the alerts turned on. Because if we had alerts turned on, our email would be nothing but alert, like constant.
Oh, yeah.
It's impossible for us to deal with. Right. So we have internal systems to where we come back frequently. And one of the things that we are always trying to focus on is who does what by when. Who is supposed to do what by when. And when something is assigned to somebody else, there's two assignments that actually need to be made. The assignment to them and the assignment to yourself to come back and check and make sure that that's done. And also, much like at a restaurant, and you may be better to describe this, but let's see if I give a good description if you like what I say. I was a part-time on-call once a week for about a year restaurant manager. Jennifer was the 2 levels above where I was as a manager every day of her life for
23
years. So she's got one on me. If a guest asked you for something and you asked somebody else to do it for you, then I would check back to make sure that they were done it. And even if they said it was done, I would still go back to the customer, the guest, and say, did Jennifer get that taken care of for you? Is there anything else we can do for you at the moment? And get them to give a couple of positive reports. No, thank you. We're good. We're good. Thank you. Yes, we're doing great. And that was also another suggestion that I made to Thomas was try to coach questions in answers that are going to get you a yes. As opposed to, is there anything else that you can bring me right now? That no, we're good. As opposed to, so instead of getting a no, we're good, I want to hear yes, we're good. Yes, I want to get lots of yeses. So, are there? Did we answer all of the questions that you have at the moment? Yes. Have we brought you everything for you to enjoy your meal? Yes. Thank you. Bon appetit. So to get more yeses, and that's a very, very advanced technique, is to ask them for yeses.
You're creating a positive mindset in the person, and what that ends up doing is creating that person to be like an advocate and a cheerleader of yours.
Yeah, you're kind of training their brain to
That's
think
the selfish
positively.
motivation. But the generous motivation of that is that they actually have that much better of an experience, and it is. That healthy mindset is a gift to them. It's not just about oh, it's beneficial to us. Yes, great, it's beneficial to us. Of course, it's very beneficial to us. But that's why our relationship is beneficial, because it's that much more even beneficial to them. And for them to be a raving fan of ours, that's excellent, because they're going to have a better experience going through the process, which is the hardest process a lot of times, whether it's, I mean, we deal with intimate family relationships. That's what the Palmer Law Group firm does. And we're dealing with people coming into your family or going out of the family. And the going out is death or divorce. And whether it's a death or a divorce, and for different people, one of those is more difficult than the other. And it's the reverse. Like sometimes a divorce is more difficult than a death. Sometimes a death is more difficult than a divorce. Sometimes they both feel like the exact same thing. But anytime that we can make an improvement, even if it's just themselves getting to the privilege of saying the word yes, or yes, I'm happy right now, and that reaffirms their own self-image and their own self-value. So if we're fine-tuning our techniques on that front, that is one of the differences that absolutely separates us from all the other firms that are out there, because this is definitely not a commodity. It is an art as much as it is a science, and the art can definitely dominate the science of it. And so many of those attorneys are out there advertising the science, advertising the science of it, as opposed to the art of it. And so many of them have no concept of what mindset is and won't even bring it onto their radar, and refuse to bring it onto their radar because they feel threatened by it, and they think, oh, well, I can't make money because I have to encourage the fighting. And I want to make as much money as possible off of this case. I don't want to make as much money as possible off this case. I want to make as little money as possible off this case. We have to get paid for what we do, and especially you as
yeah, please.
like,
I like money.
Yes, well,
especially after I moved.
And the work that we have to do, you've got to enter your time, and we will for that time. But what I don't want to do is implore tactics that lead to more fighting because we want to build more time. That's not what we want to do. That's the exact opposite of what we want to use. Tactics that will get them through the process more quickly, more smoothly, find a healthier result. And most of the time we get healthier and better results by negotiating a healthy settlement than we ever can by going into court. Court very often is like, you know, we got a table and chairs. We can sell the table and chairs and split the money. Or one of you can take the table, one of you can take the chairs, or one of you can take the table and the chairs and pay the other one out. Or we can go to court and we can cut in half the table and the chairs.
King Solomon style.
And right? Because that's what court is much more like. It's much more similar to that.
Yeah.
Right.
And people that think I'm going to get validated and I'm going to be told that I'm right, and I'm going to do it in court and have my day so that everybody knows. I got to tell you something. You're the only one that cares. You're the only one that cares about that story, and it's only for you and your story that you feel like you need to go to court. Nobody else sitting in the courtroom cares at all. Yeah, they're sitting there waiting for their turn to go, or they're all kinds of different things, and it's, you know, proving to the judge that judge when they leave the courthouse is thinking about their family and their needs and all that. There's actually one of my law firm management coaches. Actually, he wasn't a law firm management coach. He's just an in general business type of coach. And this may have actually come from Myron Golden, but he goes, if you knew how little other people actually think about you, you would have no self-consciousness, no fear, and you would go do everything out there that you're always afraid of being embarrassed by. Because embarrassment wouldn't even enter your realm of knowing how little anybody ever actually thinks about you. And so your story about how your marriage was wrong and your spouse did all these wrong things. Yes, it's true. Yes, you're entitled to how you feel about it. You should feel how you feel, and you should understand and embrace that and acknowledge that and give yourself permission for that to be okay. And then now that you've done that, now you have to give yourself permission to forgive yourself, forgive them, and move on. Forgiveness is for the benefit of the person who is doing the forgiving, not for the benefit of the person who is being forgiven. That is a fundamental human quality, and most people don't understand that. But that is absolutely biblical and absolutely spiritual, absolutely intellectual and absolutely intellectually true. It is correct. And it's not that, oh, forgive and welcome you back and accept anything like that. That's not necessarily the case. You may very well have to divorce the person. You may very well have to separate yourself from that person and love them from afar and never retrust them. It doesn't mean, oh, they stole $10,000 from me. I forgive them, but so I'm going to give them $10,000 and get myself in the same situation. No, you don't. You close that door to them. But the forgiveness is your emotional letting go of it, and it has to be true. You can't just say it. You can't necessarily trick yourself into it. Now, you can say it and make the decision, and then reality will start reflecting that decision over time, and you may not fully let go of it. But true forgiveness is letting go, moving on, and then because you've forgiven, you will tend to forget about it. Although forget, it's there. Mm-hmm. That forgetting about those mistakes is more don't dwell on what that mistake was. Yeah. Move on. Don't let your memory of the past ruin the present, because all you ever live in is the present. And I love the fact that it's a double entendre of present and gift, because it is. The present is always the gift from God. English language has got that description perfectly right for a great mindset.
Wouldn't you suggest that somebody going through a divorce afterwards get counseling to move forward? Because Absolutely. I think a lot of people do not know how to just let
interestingly
go.
Enough, and you've listened to a lot of my consultations, and it doesn't happen in all of them. So one of the reasons why I do most of the initial consultations is because that is really the part where you're doing the most counseling. This is the area of law that puts the term counselor in attorney and counselor at law. And the most help that I will give, and in fact, I did a consult where this was explicitly discussed. It was the in-person one that we did in the past week. And I don't do a lot of in-persons, like 95 maybe % are telephone now.
Yeah.
Which is great because I can do them while I'm driving to go to the gun club. And it maximizes my day to where to competitively shoot skeet.
Skeet shoot.
Skeet shoot, yeah. Say that 5 times in a row. And I don't mean the rap term. So that's as close as we need to get to something inappropriate in this. Don't Google that. Do not look up skeet in the Urban Dictionary. Because I'm talking about clay pigeons. But in the initial consultations, I give them that knowledge, and it's very, very freeing to them. And a lot of them, they get it. And it's instantaneously, in that 1 hour, I've changed their life. There are plenty of people that will tell you in that first hour, it was absolutely life-changing. I will remember that for the rest of my life. And I took a lot of that, and I've been blessed from that.
Yeah, because he does a marriage viability test on every client that comes through.
What is a marriage viability test?
Great question. So, and I'll teach you this. Another we should do.
We've actually done a podcast on the marriage viability.
And we should do a seminar on this, really, because I would love to teach other attorneys how to do this. But there's basically 3 questions that you need to ask to determine whether somebody has a viable marriage. This is what it boils down to. Do you want your marriage to work? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to make your marriage work? And are you able to make your marriage work? And ability has 2 parts. So this is how I'm going to get from 3 to 4. Part A is, do you know what it will take to make your marriage work? And part B is, are you capable of doing what you know what it will take?
For example, yes, I'm still in love with my spouse, but then they say, but my spouse isn't in love with me, then we know right then and there that's not a viable marriage.
The way to read the assessment is, if either one of you don't want your marriage to work, you're done. You don't have a viable marriage because it will not work. It's impossible.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's known as a partnership.
Correct. Next, if either one of you is not willing to do whatever it takes to make the marriage work, it will not work. We need not go any farther. And so the way I work, I actually draw the chart out, and I have husband and wife, or wife and husband, whichever. It doesn't matter which side they're on. Usually the person that's in front of me, I'll put on the left, and that's their column, and then the right will be the column about the husband or wife, the spouse. And I just draw the boxes. And so if it's a yes, you get a green check. If it's a no, you get a red X. If it's an I don't know or maybe, or you get a blue question mark. Mm-hmm. And I've done things like you get such subtlety about it to where it's really about 9 different levels of it to where it's green check, but then I'll do a blue check because it's maybe but probably. Mm-hmm. Probably is like a blue check because it's maybe but we think it's a yes, mm-hmm. right? Or a red question mark is maybe but probably not. So I guess you have probably so and probably not. So maybe there's 5 levels of it.
So if you get one red X, you're
anywhere. One red X. No, not anywhere.
Oh.
Because question 3, you can have a red X. And I'll explain that in a second. But at the question number 1 and question number 2, you got a red X. You need not go any further. Yeah. You don't have a viable marriage. And if you think you do, you're lying to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well,
or
fun.
You at least identify what it is that you need to work on.
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
So I was listening to Dave Ramsey yesterday in the car with Daniel. We were driving back from his mother's, and she's like whispering, and they're like,
because the husband was in the other room.
Yeah, and she was whispering, and he goes, "Why? I can't hear you. Can you speak up?" She's like, "Well, I can't speak up too much because my husband will hear me. He's in the other room." And then
is this the one that Dave called the cops to go help her or something? Because I saw that one recently too.
It might be, because we didn't finish it, but she was like telling them how like
she should sell her house.
No.
Okay,
She was telling them about their finances and like how he is starting to eliminate her. They don't join financing anymore, and she's
That's
on
a
her.
Common technique,
she's
an
on
isolation technique. And
she's on her own, and he kind of tells her why she can't do better with her debt. She needs to improve the way she does things, and she's in a job where she makes like 40, but she could actually make like 90 if she was back doing what she used to do. And anyway, immediately Dave Ramsey said, "Who's your husband cheating on you with?" And I thought the exact same thing. Like, I was like, oh, man, this guy is, like, totally cheating on her.
You can tell in a consult.
Like,
there's plenty of times where it's been very clear that they're cheating, and then about half the time we don't care, and because cheating a lot of times just answers the question, should you get a divorce, yes or no? And then if the answer is yes, then, all right, what do we need to do to get you through the process in the healthiest way possible?
Right.
So, but about half the time we find out for sure. I can't think of an instance where I've been wrong. It's just been really clear. Mm-hmm. And I'm not one of those that jumps to that or just assumes that everybody does. Yeah. This is one of the most important things. And before we were rolling, we didn't have the capacity to record yet. We weren't set up and able. We were here a little bit before that, and you were on the phone with a client with your headphones on, and Jennifer and I were actually texting about you because I was like, I totally would turn the recorder on because I've never seen. Well, maybe I have, but you were such an active listener in the call, which is the number.
My girlfriend's trained me well.
The what?
My girlfriend's trained me well.
Well done. So cheers. So the number one and most important skill for a lawyer to have is listening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Period.
I mean, that's how else you're going to get all the information that you need. I mean, there's only one way to do it is by listening to everything they have to say. And
exactly.
I mean, sometimes they can go on rants about something that might seem insignificant, but there might be a small percentage in there that could be really important. You have to listen to every single.
There's usually a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, absolutely.
On any one of those.
Absolutely.
So what happened with the lady?
So she basically was going on about all this stuff, and she bought the house prior to marriage, I guess. So she owned this home.
So it'd be separate property in Texas.
Yeah, and she was, if they're in Texas, Dave Ramsey has
Yeah,
people calling all over. And she was just talking about how she never had debt until she got married.
Oh, that's not good.
And how she's always been very responsible her whole life. But when she got married, things changed. And so they were just really telling her, like, look, we're not trying to, like, upset you or hurt you, but, like, we believe your husband's, like, cheating on you. And you need it. And
there
Dave
are
Ramsey's,
factors that if this, then this, then this, then this, then this.
Dave Ramsey's,
one little diagnostic will tell you everything else that's there.
His major suggestion was she needed to go to a marriage counselor that day.
Yep.
And she needed to determine whether or not her marriage, they could work on it, or whether or not they needed a divorce.
Yep.
And she didn't believe her husband was cheating. She was just like, well, it's kind of always been this way, and da-da-da-da. But I mean, to me, there's a lot of red flags there. He was constantly like isolating her with the finances, and just so.
Well,
my
one of the
opinion-
Dave Ramsey's big things is no matter what, even if one of you is handling the finances, you must
Join
fully
your finances.
fully disclose what exists.
Yeah.
Even if they don't have access to it, you must always, in order for you to have a healthy marriage, it's mandatory. And once a month, you have to have the monthly budgeting meeting. That is one of the best marriage techniques and tools that ever came out of Financial Peace University. So have you gone to Financial Peace University?
No.
I will pay for it.
Okay, cool.
$129, 2 hours a week, 9 weeks. So 18 total hours, but 9 weeks, 2 hours a week. $129. I spent $250,000 on my law degree. Ask me which one is more valuable, my law degree or my Financial Peace University diploma.
I'm going to say the second one.
It's the Financial Peace University diploma. No question. $129, 18 total hours. Law school, let's call it $300,000 probably because of opportunity costs and when you add that in, but at least $250,000. So $250,000, 3 years of my life. Financial Peace University and 18 total hours, much more valuable. And it's especially valuable because I attended with my wife, which I recommend. If you're going to get married to someone, go to Financial Peace University with them before you get married. It will absolutely help and protect your first year of marriage. Because if I had done that, so Summer and I, we've been married 13 and a half years. So on our last anniversary, we celebrated 12 and a half happy years. Our first year of marriage was very difficult, and most of it was because of finances and expectations. And we didn't have the proper context. And so I've been
It's
recommending
difficult
financial...
for everyone, though.
Yes.
I
but
mean, a lot of people think it's
yeah.
the honeymoon, and it's like
it's not. It
like
takes work.
happily ever after, and
Yeah.
you're so happy. No. The first year is rough because you're having to like
It's
figure
differences in expectations.
figure each other out, and
You
it's when
imagine
you
one thing.
combine everything.
They imagine something else.
Yeah.
And that is not always meeting up. What do you mean this? And then there's frustration and panic, and you're not understanding each other too. There's communication issues.
Or you
Yeah.
have a
Money
stupid
and
fight
communication.
over toothpaste. What toothpaste you're going to have? Because I use Colgate and you use Crest. Well, I like Colgate.
Well, why wouldn't you just get them both?
Well, in our house, Daniel just went to Colgate, so that's how it works.
So this may be a weird thing to share, but Summer
Honestly, I said that. I was like, if you want Crest, buy your own toothpaste. I don't care.
or whoever happens to go to the store just buys both and maintains it.
Well,
Oh, no.
Moneybags over here getting 2 toothpaste. My goodness.
I mean, they're going to last you twice as long. The net over your life, you're going to spend the exact same amount of money on toothpaste, unless one of you wants a really expensive toothpaste. But if you want a really expensive toothpaste, use it, buy it. It's toothpaste and it's your teeth. They're fairly important. And so, do you know the choose your battles?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard the comedy routine on choose your battles? So normally I will rip off the comedy routines and make them my own of any dead comedian. I'm pretty sure that this guy is alive. So whoever did this is not my original material. I'm repeating it, and you should Google and give the guy a like and go to his shows for who came up with this, because it's brilliant. But he goes, so when I got married, everybody was like, choose your battles. I'm getting married. It's my honeymoon, and they're all coming up with me. Choose your battles. Choose your battles. My mother-in-law, choose your battles. Everybody said. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to choose my battles. So I went like a long time, and I never picked a battle. And then one day, my wife wanted to go get a dog, and I said, you know what? No, I'm going to use one of my battles for this. And she goes, what? He goes, yeah, I'm going to use one of my battles. I'm using a battle on this. And she just laughs and laughs and laughs, and then we went and got a dog.
What comedian is this?
I don't remember his name. Like, somebody put it in the comments. Put in the comments who that comedian was. Find out who it is. But that guy, I love that joke, and I loved pretty much like all of his material. I forget who he was, but he deserves more credit than that. So Joe Rogan, listen, Joe, I'm not stealing live people's material. I don't want to do that. I will tell you Norm Macdonald jokes all day long. But
And Rodney Dangerfield.
and Rodney Dangerfield. I've told Rodney Dangerfield jokes live on stage. So my comedian stage name is Dancy Dane.
Okay.
So because my dad used to call me Dancy Dane. when I was young. So I'm like, that's going to be my funny name. And when my comedy routines are out there, I don't want people Googling that and it coming up with the law firm. So.
Well, it's funny that you bring up the choose your own battle things, because me and my girlfriend kind of had one of those pretty recently, because we moved in together this past week.
So what kind of dog did you get?
We haven't gotten a dog yet, but we are in agreement on the dog. That's not a battle we have to choose, thank God, because that would have been a whole thing.
That's why Summer and I got married, because she had a Dalmatian, and I was like, I have a Dalmatian.
Perfect.
And she
You're
goes,
like
prove
the
it.
movie.
Yeah, the movie. So we have 3 Dalmatians. You may have seen them.
Yeah, I did.
What was your battle?
So I had in my room, I had like kind of a bunch of like kind of miscellaneous posters and wall decor. And apparently, unbeknownst to me,
everybody watching this knows how this story ends.
Unbeknownst to me, I have terrible taste in wall decor. I put them all in the car, and she was like, "What are you gonna do with those?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm gonna, put some in the room, put some in the office." She was like, no. And so we kind of went through, and there was this,
Have you seen the Star Wars and Rush posters around here, out here in the studio? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because Summer won't come out here.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And so I kind of had to pick and choose which ones I really, really cared about.
Yep.
And I had this one Looney Tunes basketball poster that I've had since I was 3 years old, and I was like, "This is the
Space
one."
Jam?
Space Jam?
No, I don't think it's from Space Jam. It's just they're just playing street ball, and Tasmanian Devils just slamming the basketball.
Space Jam. He doesn't even know. He's so young. How old are you?
28.
Oh, you're fine. 28.
I was born the year it came out. I know what it
is a good lawyer age, because you.
Okay, if you say so.
It is. How,
my bank account would disagree.
Well, at this point, you have enough knowledge to be highly competent and highly skilled, and you have enough compassion and stamina and just youth and drive to have it not burned you out yet.
Sure, yeah.
As you get older, like for me, what I think one of my greatest strengths is how much non-legal training that I've had. Mm-hmm. A lot of it in just how to deal with people and understanding what the client, who are our guests, and to treat them like guests, and to understand what they're going through, and to have empathy, and to anticipate what they're going through, and try to do things that will help them at the time that they need the help, mm-hmm. rather than and proactively before they need the help, rather than purely reactively. And a lot of the stuff, even with our clients, that they freak out, and we have a lot of reactors. I mean, it's just the nature of how that is. And Jennifer and I constantly are working on things that we can do to help anticipate that ahead of time, so that we can increase our experience, mm-hmm. and increase the client's improvement of experience. And some of the things that we're working on, I don't want to even release it yet until we're there, but on how we are massively improving our client experience. Mm. And even to the point to where we're going to have some choices about the experience that they want to have, mm-hmm. with us. And some of the things are that I really like to use comedy, and it's a skill of mine, but to use comedy to break very stressful situations, mm-hmm. because you have people that are breaking down crying, but if you can make them laugh, it'll snap them out of it,
yeah.
And it'll help them, and it also help them realize it's not the end of the world, and that everything is okay. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, and this is a very important technique, there are a lot of attorneys who think and believe that people only settle out of fear. I completely disagree with that. Mm-hmm. People settle when you give them a healthy view of the future, so that they are not afraid anymore, and then they can move forward. And that's how you get a healthy deal. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely always how you get a healthy deal. And when we get that, and when we get buy-in from both sides, that's all we need, is buy-in from both sides, that we're going to work and try and find something that's healthy. And when you do that, you maximize so much by being able to work together. And I'm not saying we all of a sudden are on the same team, but at least we have the common goal of find a healthy solution. Right. That common goal is the primary and most important step in finding and obtaining better results than you can get by being, oh, I'm so good in court. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you do this most of the time, by the time that you get to court, if you're the one that's been trying to do this, and you're the one who has the client that's been trying to do this, your client's going to look great in court. You're mm-hmm. always going to look great in court. The judges are going to know that. The judges are going to see, and you're going to have a great reputation, because they know that's what you're doing all day long, every day. And that we're here because there's some kind of genuine something.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that you're able to do that with like opposing counsel around in this area? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, when we had one, I personally, just logistically, I had to go in and do one that we thought Dan was going to do, and the night before we decided, no, I'll go ahead and roll up to court. And there was kind of chaos and a lot of different methods, and part of me was like, there's something, because there are some times where I see how cases are going. I'm going, God's trying to tell us something. Let's try and take a moment and listen to that. And that, and when I remember that, I'm going, okay, there's something else that we aren't seeing, or no one is seeing, or not capable of seeing, but it will come together. And that is part of the psychological training and things. And just one of our number one responses is when there's panic and chaos. First, be calm. First, know we've gotten through way harder, whatever this is. We're better than ever at ever handling this. There is a way. Let's figure it out. Everybody calm down, and we'll acknowledge and deal with the problem, and it will be fine. And it always is. I have a hard time thinking of different situations, and it just depends. And a lot of times it's that, okay, because of that's my skills, that's the ones that you have to come in and bring the Dana magic in. You'll hear everybody talking about the Dana magic.
Yeah, I've heard Dan say that a few times. Yeah.
So they're like, hey, I need the Dana magic on this, and a lot of it is just that it's
consulting.
I need Daniel magic a lot of times. Like, hey, Daniel, I need to do this. Like, and it depends. It's just the different levels of the position. It's not that anybody's necessarily even better or worse. Although we have more developed.
You'll have different skill sets.
Different skill sets on different things,
Yeah.
and it's also I don't know a lot about soccer, so I'm going to say, passing it from the left side of the field to the right side of the field. Like sometimes, hey man, I'm just jammed up over here. Can I pass? And it's, or like in basketball, like you pass the ball. It's not, Michael Jordan doesn't always take it to the hoop. And in fact, the Chicago Bulls were not winning when everything was Michael Jordan. It wasn't until they brought in other team members and they started actually playing like a team that the Chicago Bulls got dominant.
Yeah.
And it's also like another set of eyes. It's like fresh eyes. If you've been staring at something and you're like,
you miss things.
Yeah.
Well, if you're so into the forest,
yeah,
you need somebody that's can come in and look at the big picture.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot for Daniel. And then I have times when I'm too in the forest on something and Daniel comes in. It's just the nature of being able to work something as a team.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been close to solo. I've never liked working by myself. I think a lot of solo attorneys, and especially no staff at all to help them. I don't think that's a good business model. I don't think attorneys should be doing that. And
you're going to burn yourself out, and you're not going to get your bills collected, and it's going to be
there
a
are
big problem.
a litany of problems, and most of them are not aware, and they think that it's sacrifice. I'll just do it myself, and that way I know this. Well, you're actually not doing well, because you should be doing the very high value stuff, and the lesser value stuff, or not lesser value, but only the things that you can do. The things that really you did all this training for.
The things that you paid $250,000 to like get a piece of paper to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't have any business doing these other things that can be done by somebody else that would probably do them better than I do, because I'm trying to do too many things.
That's their primary focus.
And that's their primary focus. So they're going to get really good at this aspect of it and make me faster on all this stuff. And I'm depriving them of that job, and I'm depriving my clients of me doing the better job up here. And I'm also depriving of the mindset, because when everything else runs smoothly, I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about actually sending the actual letter. I don't have to worry about getting the letterhead put. I don't have to worry about putting the address on the letterhead. I don't have to worry about so many different things about it. And I say, here's the letter I need, write it. And then they come back to me, and then I just edit it. And polish it, make sure it's perfect. And then I go, oh, we need this, and I put in a comment, add this, add this, add this. And then I just say, Veronica, here, you have this thing. And I can spend 6 minutes, 12 minutes. Like, it's rare. And now occasionally I will be very deep into thought. If I've spent 30, 45, an hour and 50 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, writing a letter, there has been massive amounts of thought and progress. And like, if I write this, then what's the consequence? Write this, what's the consequence? What's the pattern? And I trace it all the way out. How's this going to play out? How's this going to play out? How's this going to play out? And I am looking down all of the potential future paths of how, if I set this in motion, how does it come out at the end? And then I'm getting all of these different theories and assigning other tasks, and I'm building and doing the work on the case. Mm-hmm. But most of my letters, what are they? How much would you say? 6 minutes, 12 minutes, 20 minutes sometimes?
Letters that you write, yeah.
With that process. Mm-hmm. As opposed to if I was a true solo and didn't have any help, I just would get massive anxiety and just feel like, I have so many other more important
you can
things.
take in the amount of cases you do now. There's just no way.
I mean, we're a multi-million-dollar law firm.
I
would be able to do about
15, 20.
I would be able to do about $200,000 a year worth of business, and I would probably collect about $60,000 of it. If that. Mm-hmm. And when I was doing it, I was doing, like for the first couple of few years, I was doing about $300,000 worth of work and collecting about $60,000, which is very typical of solo attorneys. Mm-hmm. And trust me, for the clients, I know as a young attorney, I would just put that much effort into it and make it happen no matter what. But how I do things now and how much more smoothly and better it is way better. And my hourly rate reflects it. I'm actually probably cheaper than I used to be when I was $200 an hour, now that I'm $700 an hour. Mm-hmm. Why? Because in a few minutes, I can do twice or 3 or 4 times what I could do in a longer time. Mm-hmm. So the prices haven't necessarily changed. The cost for me doing the same amount of stuff for our clients really hasn't changed. Why? Because I can solve their case in a whole hour. Mm-hmm. I can do a consult with them, and then I can put in another hour worth of work on their case, and that's their whole case. Mm-hmm. Because I can check on this in 3 minutes, check on this in 3 minutes, check on this in 3 minutes. And it's like being the executive chef to a really good restaurant versus I've actually been to a restaurant. There was a restaurant in Greenville, and there was a woman who did every job, no other help. She took the order, she went back and cooked it, she brought it out to the table. She had like 4 tables, and it was a Mexican restaurant. I would highly doubt that it's still there.
Was it good?
It was okay.
Okay.
It was worth going to because it was
can't even imagine.
It was open late, and it was such a novelty to watch her do this. It was just fascinating, so we would go. It wasn't all that great. Now that I think about it, but it was, and it was never really particularly crowded. And I did have some concerns about how sanitary could this be?
Right? Yeah.
Because
who's cleaning this?
I owned a coffee shop, and the only way I would ever really make money is if I did basically every job, and until like depending on how many people came in, I would add help. But I had to open it, I had to clean it, I had to close it, I had to be there at all times in order, for it to run and do that.
I can't even imagine doing that.
Well, you almost imagined doing it when you went to work for Starbucks and you wanted to trade that job for the one you have now. Jennifer, we've told this story a couple of times, but I have to at least give you a little bit of hard time. I don't want to give her too hard a time because she might be, I don't know, I've worked here and worked for you, and I might like that Starbucks job after all. I try to be as encouraging as possible, but every now and then. I know you got screamed at this week, and I was just trying to be as nice as possible for you getting screamed at
every week. What are you talking about?
So Jennifer is our resident get screamed at person.
Oh.
I mean, a vast majority of what she gets screamed at, she shouldn't be getting screamed at. It's somebody just losing it and having a mental breakdown.
Is it by clients?
The person this week was ridiculous. It wasn't even. It was over a payment
We're
thing.
not going to go into it.
It was just stupid.
Yeah.
It honestly was stupid. But yeah, it was just one of those people who was so high intense, and she didn't want to listen. Mm-hmm. I couldn't talk. Every time I went to go say something,
and in that, you just sit and listen. I mean, part of the process is they have to get this out.
Yeah.
Because and they're under such stress and whatever. So the best example of this is there was a clerk. I don't know what they're called at a hotel. What are they called? A concierge or
a concierge,
but maybe not necessarily a concierge because it was,
talking about
a
someone
desk,
like
front desk clerk.
desk?
Yeah. So and this guy was just lighting in because there were no rooms available, and he hadn't booked a room but thought he could walk in and get it. And the guy was just completely unreasonable and was insulting.
I know how to handle that real quick.
The worst horrible nightmare. And he's just standing there patient and as friendly as possible and just would wait. and it's almost just like a crying baby, basically, like letting him cry it out. And the guy left, and the next guy comes up and goes, hi, welcome to Marriott. How can we help you? He goes, how are you so pleasant after what just happened to you? He goes,
It's just another Tuesday.
yeah. He goes, well, that doesn't bother me. It had nothing to do with me. That's his story that's playing out, and he needed to go through that as part of his story, and it was the most generous thing that I could do. It was just be there to listen to him. It has nothing to do with me, and it doesn't affect
I will
me
say
at all.
that is probably the worst job to have in a hotel is
You
working
think?
at the front. Oh, 100%. You as a front
Do you
desk
tip
agent
them?
is dealing with every single thing. If your towels aren't in your room, or this didn't happen, or your water pressure isn't right, or the hot water, you're dealing with every single aspect of their entire visit. If they dine at a restaurant and they were upset over the restaurant experience,
You get
guess
to hear
what?
about it too.
The front desk hears all of that. They get everything.
So-
that's all they deal with all
So
day
when you're
long.
at a hotel, do you tip the front desk clerk when you check in with them?
Well,
or
some
check out?
people do to get a better
I do.
room.
Really? You tip
Well,
the front desk for
yes.
Really?
Because
In
they have to go through that.
In Vegas,
And
they'll
I worked
tip
for
them.
tips for too long, and I know that they like and want tips, and they're highly underappreciated. So I'll usually give them $5.
Man.
Sometimes more. If I'm actually trying to get an upgrade, or they give me an upgrade, I'll give them $10. Or
Yeah.
it depends on what hotel. Like I've been known to do more. Or and there's also the people that are just so good that occasionally I'll give them a $100 tip.
Because when I worked at Bob's, I was
Or
at the
$50 tip.
Omni Hotel in downtown. So I worked in the hotel for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I heard all the stories. I mean, the front desk guys were always coming down to my restaurant because they're like, "Hey, Jennifer, what about a steak tonight or whatever?" We would treat them, we would do things for them because they helped us out. We're kind of like a team, so we throw something towards them or whatever. But yeah, they would tell me all the stories.
All right, Jennifer, no matter what, I need you to take care of this
There's
person.
two
and I'm
jobs.
sorry.
There's two
I
jobs.
need
in
you to get to feed these people.
Well, there's two jobs in a hotel that I would never want to do.
Okay.
One is work at the front desk. Second one is to clean the rooms. I had
Really?
to do the rooms. No.
Oh yeah, you did clean some rooms though.
During COVID, I had to strip rooms.
So
When
what
we
did you
were
see?
we were
Did you take a black light to it?
we were a skeleton team, and so part of that was, hey, if you can, or it really wasn't if you can, you're doing it, you're going to be stripping rooms. So I would go to housekeeping and get my couple of floors.
Did you get tips for that?
No.
No, people weren't leaving you tips.
Every now and then there was some money in there, but I didn't feel right taking that.
Okay.
You didn't know if it was actually a tip or if
Well,
they just
because
left money.
I wasn't actually going back and putting all the bedding on there. I was stripping it. So
Oh,
I
okay.
was
So you let the person that came after
personally,
you,
I was doing,
and you were a manager.
I was probably
yeah.
doing the dirtiest work because I had to go in there and take all the dirty sheets
would
off.
you wear
Oh yeah, no, I put
Yeah.
gloves on and
yeah,
everything.
for
But-
touching sheets? I
But
would-
here's the deal, because they were so short staffed at that time. Like at one point, they had 7 housekeepers. Well, you got
for the Omni Hotel, the whole
Yeah.
giant Omni, and
yes,
were they occupied?
because this was COVID.
But were they even being occupied?
So they had some military come and stay there.
Yeah.
And it was when I got furloughed. So the military had been there, and then I came back. So I was furloughed like a month, and I came back. And so these rooms hadn't been touched in 3-4 weeks.
Oh my goodness!
And I hit one room, and I opened the door. I could smell the smell before I even opened the door. And I was like, And then the housekeeper was down the hallway. I'm like, what do you do? This room, I can't. And she hands me this big bottle of air freshener. She's like, you just keep spraying at the door, and then go in there and turn the air way, way down. Because it was warm in
it'll
there.
circulate.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
I did that, and then I went and stripped some more rooms, and then I had to go back to that room. I mean, come on, people. Do not leave your children's dirty diapers in the room.
Oh,
Leave it.
God.
And don't
just
leave-
out.
Don't leave spilled milk everywhere. And Mexican food, do not leave it just sitting on something, because those are the worst combinations of a smell.
It
was-
Was it infested in bugs or?
No bugs. It was horrible smelling though.
Wow.
I just sat there and was like, and so I mean, yeah.
So thanks for now that no one's watching because everyone's completely grossed out.
And don't rose petal rooms either. What a mess.
Really?
I had rooms where there was rose petals like everywhere. I was like,
Were there little white stains on the sheets? So
I could tell you like story after story. Our one room, there was so much empty booze.
really,
Like it probably took
you think
me.
you think it was like a high school party?
I don't know.
or
It probably
just a
took me.
severe
It took me
alcoholic for a week?
two. It took me 2 giant trash bags.
You're no
Liters.
No,
I'm not
that had to be a
joking.
high school party.
It
I bet it
was-
was a high school party.
It was so much. I was like, how are they even alive? You know, and it was all gone.
Yeah,
Like big old things of Malibu, like gallons.
Yeah, high
I'm
school.
just like-
yeah.
Malibu.
but yeah, no, I.
Were there white stains on?
Let me just tell you, I try not to look at any of the sheets. Gross.
Yeah, I'm not looking at that
I will
sheet.
say there was one room where I was like cleaning it and I was pulling the sheets and the money started falling out of the bed.
Oh, nice.
Like dollar bills. I
Gosh.
was like, what was going on?
Oh, you know what was
here?
going on if
Oh,
it's
yeah,
dollar
if
bills.
it's dollar bills, crumpled
Those
up dollar bills.
those fell out of the thong.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were they $1 bills or $2 bills?
They were $1.
All right. Well, now we know what level. Now we know what the price was. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Where do we go now in this podcast for that?
It was interesting. It was funny, but interesting.
So yes, customer service, client.
So those are
client
2 things
service,
in a hotel
mindset,
that are not the fun jobs.
the not fun jobs in a hotel.
Yeah.
So is it better to get yelled at a law firm, or is it better to get yelled at a restaurant or a hotel?
I think it depends.
Yeah.
I mean, I dealt with a couple
it's
insanities.
It's a different
in a
level.
restaurant.
It's a different level of stress, because arguing about somebody having a bad meal and the consequences of that. I mean,
I've dealt with all kinds of complaints, though. I've dealt with the complaining people that are just looking for something for free.
oh yeah.
You know, and that just depends on the restaurant. You know, when I worked for
Yeah.
Fridays, it was like that.
Well, there was a group that used to notoriously come in on holidays into Three Forks, and I think finally they got banned.
Uh-huh.
And we would have 2 waiters on the table and a manager that stood there the whole time
Oh, I believe it.
and wrote it down and would go like this to the order. This is what you ordered,
Yeah.
right? All right, and they would hold that and stand there
It's ridiculous.
and verify
that someone has
and
to
go,
do that.
no, that is medium rare. If you would like us to cook it more, we will. Or no, that is well done. That's what you order. You know.
Oh, yeah. No, I've dealt with that kind of stuff. I mean, I've dealt with it all. I've dealt with people just being absolutely crazy and screaming, or I've dealt with people you've had to like cut off and they didn't feel like they should be cut
I do,
off.
for the benefit of the recording, I do want to say this: 99+% of all our clients we don't have these issues with, and we're not complaining about the clients that do have these issues. Those clients are in pain. We understand it, and we are there to try and help them. We would ask, please
just
stop
so-
yelling at us if possible.
So I'm the administrator of the firm, so that just makes it like I talk to people, you know, that's just kind of my job. So, you know, it doesn't really bother me. The ones that bother me are the ones that don't allow me to try to correct it. Those are probably the ones that bother me the most. Like, I don't mind someone being upset and need to get it out. I just don't like it when they don't allow me to try to fix it. They're too busy, like, so stuck in it that they don't know how.
Or they stop. It takes a certain amount of cooperation with a client, and I explain this to them. We work out all of our cases as a team, and you're the most important member of the team. Our clients are the most important member of the team, and they can't not participate. They have to be very participatory. But the good news is they only have one case that they have to work on. Yeah. So they can stay on that case really, really well. And we are here for them. One of the things, this is also another advanced technique, and we may have told you this, but using the podcast as an example to, 1, co-train you, and 2, tell the world, like, this is literally how we are training, and what we do is, and I think I may have already even discussed this with you, but how essentially when we wake up in the morning, we look at our calendar and go, okay, how am I going to do all this today? All right, I know I can get it done. I'm going to get it done. And you psych yourself up and do that. If people are adding to that during the day, you get anxiety, stress. It becomes unmanageable. You get decision fatigue. It's distracting, all that. So when clients come in and they need to talk, the first call that they're making is actually a scheduling call. I need to talk to Thomas about this, or Jennifer or Dana or whoever it is about this. Are they available? Well, if we are, the person who answers the phone, they will look at our calendar and go, well, he may be available. And essentially now they would call Terry and ask, and Terry's going to know, because Terry's going to know if I'm doing something else, or I go, good, don't, like, I needed to get this done, and she can see I'm working on something, and she's like, it ain't good to interrupt him on doing that, and I've been waiting for that for days. So that's where they will go, all right, he's not available at the moment, and they go, well, just have him call me back. No, no, there is no just have him call me back.
Yeah.
It is, well, let me tell you exactly when that is. Are you going to be available at that time? It's at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Are you available? Yes. Now, here's why that's good. If it's just have him call me back when he can, all the rest of the day, they're carrying that stress on them, in their body and on their mind about when is Dana going to call me back? When, and they're waiting. And every time that they think about that, it's a negative reinforcement of he hasn't called me back yet. It's a problem that just builds, as opposed to if they know we're calling at 10 o'clock, oh, great. I don't have to worry about that 10 o'clock. Gone, released. And they go about their day, and there's never a negative inflammation. And in fact, it is positive, because every time that they think, oh, I get to talk to him at 10 o'clock, it's a positive. So it's a very important business technique about why we do that. Now, a judge calls you, you're taking the call.
Oh, yeah.
You're on
You're on their schedule.
Yeah. All the judges, we know we're taking your call.
Yeah.
But by the way, judges, we're human beings too. Please don't get any God complexes about the scheduling things. Please help work with our schedules too. Most judges do. Every now and then a judge, if there's ever a tyrant judge, it's about the schedule. It's about schedule. And there's usually a lot of really, really good reasons why, we're doing it. I mean, and especially I hope to God that this podcast even helps with our reputation. I think we have a good reputation anyway, because not only am I preaching these things, these are the things we do, and people see it.
So I have a question for Thomas. So what made you want to become an attorney?
Insanity?
Yeah.
You hate yourself?
And specifically family law.
You're a masochist?
Well, honestly, I didn't really go into law school wanting to do family law. And I kind of fell into family law initially.
Yeah.
Because I was, I was my third year, so I'm getting ready to send out applications. I did the shotgun approach. I was just like sending out applications to pretty much
Do you like shotguns?
anyone was hiring.
Right.
And, I got a couple calls back for a few different firms, and family law. I took family law in law school as an elective, and it always kind of interested me. And I thought, why not? I thought it's something that I could, get into, that I might actually be able to do a little bit of good with this law degree, because there's a decent amount of fields where you can do that, but I think family law is one where you can actually make a really solid impact.
I think so too.
And that's the biggest reason why I picked family law over something like commercial law or plaintiffs, or being a plaintiff's attorney,
Right.
or like a personal injury attorney, because that's what my dad does. He's a personal injury attorney here in Dallas for the insurance companies. And I interned.
So we can't refer him business. At least, I mean, because we could refer insurance companies to him if they're our clients, but he doesn't represent the people. He represents the insurance company. So basically, his dad is always trying not to pay people money that they should be paying.
For the most part, yeah. And I interned with his firm over summers whenever I was in law school, and I liked it a decent amount. A lot of the cases were really interesting. Some of the research I did was also really interesting. But I don't know, I just didn't really get that passion, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that fire, I guess, inside. But once I kind of started doing family law, and I was a licensed mediator my third year of law school.
Which is excellent.
I was part of a clinic that the law school put on where it was a class that you could go into, get graded, and then also
That's excellent.
be a mediator. I loved it. And I didn't have a ton of family law cases doing that. It was mostly like debt collection. That was the vast majority of it. But I did have a few family law cases here and there.
So debt collection, that's kind of like negotiating a property division in
yeah,
divorce.
honestly, yeah.
It's real similar.
It's very similar, yeah. But yeah, so I'd had a few, I think maybe like 4 or 5 family law cases kind of sprinkled throughout the year. And I don't know, those really stuck with me. I really enjoyed doing those. I really enjoyed being able to negotiate those. And oddly enough, the ones that had lawyers on both sides were the more difficult mediations, whereas we actually just got both parties in there with no lawyers. It was just the parties.
Interesting.
That made things, I don't know, it felt like the parties were able to cooperate.
I have had
more.
2 mediations where the mediator did that.
Really? It was just the parties?
And it makes me incredibly uncomfortable, but they got it done.
Oh, yeah, that's a lawyer, sure.
One was Coy Connor, and the reason why I allowed him to do it is because I trusted Coy a lot. He was my favorite mediator until he retired. And then I can't remember what the other one was, but I know that there was another one because I remember at the time I was thinking, well, I let Coy do it.
I can't see Jared doing that.
He might have.
Yeah.
It might have been. I wanted to say it was him, but I don't remember specifically it actually being that. But most of the time we get things negotiated without having to do that.
Yeah. But no, that was really what got me interested. And then I started my first job in Lubbock, and the firm itself was, but I really enjoyed communicating with the clients that we had. Most of them, not all of them, but most of the clients that we had, they loved me. They loved me. They loved talking with me, and I really just enjoyed talking with them, learning about their stories. I've always been kind of a big people person. I just kind of like talking to people.
I picked that up from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just talking with them, getting to know them, talking about their stories, and being able to help them. It just that was one of the big reasons why I stood there
for a family law attorney.
Yeah,
it's probably the number one skill.
And I've had a lot of training in it with IT. I mean, I was on the front lines of getting all the calls, and so I've had a ton of experience with that, trying to talk people off the ledge with computer issues, and it really, to me, it felt like it really translated well with talking with clients and getting them to. Yes, their problems are huge, but to kind of calm them down a little bit, to be like, look, I know this is a huge thing, but trust me, trust the firm, trust us. We've got this under control, and just breathe.
So that said, please subscribe, like, give us some comments, and stay tuned for the next episode of the Lawyer Dana podcast. Bye.
Bye.